It's a little Christmas in New England with the MassMutual U game. UConn and UMass. Another page from the history books for these great schools. They've met since the turn of the century, Massachusetts and Connecticut. After a 6-year hiatus, last year the border battle was renewed. Bruiser Flint and UMass, Jim Calhoun and UConn. It came down to Travieso's final shot.
He shoots, he can't get it. Connecticut holds on by 3.
Tonight, the names are Kettner and Weeks, Hamilton and El-Amin. They'll continue the tradition. For the 100th time, it's UConn, UMass. If you've ever traveled across the border between Connecticut and Massachusetts, you know this is basketball country. And in the shadows of the Basketball Hall of Fame, tonight, 2 pretty good schools go at it in Hartford. Mike Tirico, Bill Raftery, happy holidays, everyone. Well, UMass, this is a team that lost Padilla and Travieso, lost Marcus Camby, but they've played well, played a tough schedule. Anybody can step up on any night and be the star, including big guy, Larry Kettner.
Well, disposition to dominate, down low, terrific interior defense, and Bruiser wants that half-court kind of game. Control the tempo against Brad Miller. Good, successful trips, kept him below his numbers. Well, try to Rafe LaFrenz. Kept him below his numbers, of course, starts that fast break with those shot blocks.
Connecticut may not have played as tough a schedule as UMass, but they played some good competition. They're 9-1, and Jim Calhoun says, hey, I had Donyell Marshall, I've had Ray Allen, and Richard Hamilton belongs in the class with those guys.
While he can shoot the basketball as well as a couple of those guys, outstanding using the bumps. They run most of their sets to give him a number of touches. Good open shooter, but now, Mike, he can put it on the floor on occasion and loosen people up.
Everybody in this area wanted to see this game when John Calipari is at UMass. Calipari's gone. The series is back. But just because Cal is gone, don't think there's no fervor and intensity in this series.
No, the big names aren't there. There are no Cambys, there's no Allens. But I think in terms of intensity, couldn't play as hard as we played last year, either team. You want to come and see some good basketball, some hard-foot basketball, you got to come to the UMass UConn game.
ESPN's presentation of NCAA basketball is presented.
Basketball studios once again to the Minutemen and the Huskies in just a minute. Other games going
during the evening. So a good game on the Deuce, good game here on ESPN. The MassMutual U game. Let's check the starting lineup. For Connecticut, 3 sophomores, a freshman, no senior. Richard Hamilton is an undersized 4-man, but has really improved his basketball skills this year. That's Jim Calhoun starting 5. For Bruiser Flint, the UMass head coach, we highlight Charlton Clark his last 3 games. The leader of the team, really. He's averaged nearly 16 points per, including 22 in that near UMass win at Kansas. Jim Calhoun is closing in on 500 victories. 3 shy of the 250 mark at UConn. Of course, the great success before this at Northeastern. This is 12th season at UConn. Bruiser Flint opened up last year with a pretty respectable season. Brought it back nicely, 19-14. A 6-3 opening this year. Keep an eye on Ricky Moore tonight. 319 minutes. That's about 8 games at 40 minutes per would be 320 minutes. Only 7 turnovers. A wonderful assist-to-turnover ratio. Moore and El-Amin in the backcourt for the Huskies. The building is half split. Half UMass, half UConn. UConn's in the white. Out of bounds off of Richard Hamilton. It will be UMass ball.
And the Huskies get set up, Mike Tirico, in their traditional man-to-man.
Christmas is now complete. I was waiting for that all Christmas.
A lot of power game, Mike, by UMass.
Here is Kettner over Jake Bosco. First rebound, Connecticut. Here is El-Amin, a good point guard.
Got to contain. That's UMass's philosophy. Make them play their half-court sets.
Ricky Moore out high. There's El-Amin. Richard Hamilton wearing the blue shoes. Won't be hard to spot tonight. Hits the first shot for Connecticut. 6'6" sophomore is Hamilton. UConn scores first. Mike Babel with the ball across midcourt. Pull-up pop for Monty Mack.
And that's what he's given them, a lift with the dribble. The 2-2-1 was handled pretty good by UMass. That's a concern of Bruiser.
That's a press that UConn runs often. All tied at 2 in our first minute here in Hartford. There is Moore out high. He's a junior and really the experienced guy on this team.
A lot of screening. Look at this deep duck in by Jake.
Voskuhl shot off the mark. Freeman fighting inside, and he touched it last. It will be UMass ball.
A little softer release, and that can get Kettner in trouble. If he can dive in there, seal him off, and get a little bit of a delivery, he may get himself to the foul line. Big concern for UMass.
Clark handles the pressure alone. Tyrone Weeks, the veteran on this club, double team. Voskuhl took it away. Huskies back the other way.
I thought he was going to do some damage there, Michael.
I think he was thinking about it. But Freeman calls for time. Apparently he may have taken a shot in the face, or he's on his way out of bounds. It will be a 20-second timeout for Connecticut.
I think he did take a little bit of a shot. Little trap in the corner, effective by UConn. Something Calhoun has done. How about the ability to win, huh? Almost 500. Pretty good run by this program.
And of late, great success. I mean, Connecticut and Massachusetts are right up there with the other great schools in the country for victories. And good players, and Calipari, and handing over to Bruiser Flint, and the success and the continuity of that bench with Jim Calhoun.
You know, the more he wins, the more I can understand him.
Jimmy?
And you know what I love today? I can't wait to see Cal, the winningest first-year coach at UMass, Bruiser Flint.
Ahead of Calipari.
Yeah, John did a lot of great things up there, but he's got one on him.
UConn retaining possession. Jake Voskuhl gets the turnaround to go. They want him to shoot more. He's got 2. He averages 6 per game.
Now, he went to the big man camp, Pete Knowles' camp, and he went with a bad ankle. It wasn't supposed to go, and I think his offense has improved.
Good job by Hamilton taking it away from Weeks. And here is Richard Hamilton. El Amin, the point guard, working on Monty Mack.
Pretty good with the penetration. And Jimmy feels his shooting is terrific.
Abel, a good defender on Hamilton.
There's the high-low.
Shot clock pushing 10. El Amin finds Moore all alone. He got it back to Ancher Kleber, who lost the handle. Back from the men and the other way. Clark to Kettner, who established position. Well, a nice double team by Kleber forced him to back it out.
It looked like Times Square New Year's Eve, huh? Everybody around, and that influence defensively by Kettner at the other end messed up Kleber.
Tyrone Weeks thought about it.
Good help.
Hamilton, the quick hands, turnover. Here come the Huskies in transition. Hamilton for 3.
Well, you got to identify him early, and that double point guard. What a combo. Moore and El Amin, 2 heads running the show there for UConn.
Huskies lead by 5. 3:15 gone by. First half in Hartford.
They're going to do it in pieces. Beat the press, settle. If they can attack on occasion, they will. Amazing what Clark's been able to do at the point, off the ball, or at the small forward.
He's played all 3 positions like he did at times last year. Monty Mack, who can get hot.
On cue for him, little tick and roll high, and nobody denied the wing pass.
Mack has set his career high 3 straight games. El Amin tried to break him down on the other end. Kettner lost it out of bounds. It will stay with UConn.
When you think of it, what Cal did and staff up at UMass, everybody feels maybe the greatest turnaround in the history of basketball. They went in, it was down, playing in the cage, not too well lit. And Tyrone Weeks, one of his guys out of Philly, too. Great story, huh? Get the extra year because he got his degree.
It's his 2nd senior year. We'll talk about that later as El Amin extends the UConn lead to 4.
Good poise against the 2-2-1. Posting up. There's Mack in the middle. Turn, nothing there. Get organized as they stay. Man-to-man UConn.
Clark and Mack are the guards. Ajmal Bassett just checked in. 42 for UMass. He's coming off a big game. Clark got a step.
What strength, huh? A lingerie lingering as he blows by.
Huskies by 2. El Amin tried to answer. It's a Hamilton 3.
Got to stay up on him.
Voskuhl chased it down. Fresh shot clock for the Huskies.
And that's a gift. Those long ones, you don't run them down. The opponent does. Do some damage to your offense.
El Amin now watched by Monty Mack.
Freeman and Bassett. Ajmal really gets wired. I mean, he shakes hands. He's excited.
You see the ticker at 10. Hamilton had no room when he caught it. One-on-one on Clark. Here is Hamilton, thrown away by Bassett. Moore fires. Woo!
What a turnaround. Great defensive play. But UMass should take faith and confidence in that set. They play like that, they're going to shut them down a few trips.
Second time tonight, UConn by 5. Monty Mack turned away. Throw it away. Freeman, El-Amin, and Hamilton before the bump by the basket, the foul at the top of the key.
Pretty good giveaway, too. That was a smart play. Saved the basket, and Clark laid a body, and he's got one to put you down as El-Amin says, welcome to the Northeast here. John Robick taking a little break.
Guess what? There's intensity early. UConn leads by 5.
This just looks like a little one-on-one dive to the goal. All the attention because of movement, but as we scrutinize most indiscriminately, we're going to see the penetration and the just screening away that keeps the activity defensively as the heads turn and bob and weave. You see, not used to as they are eventually going to come here, but the back out as Clark gets a free ride. Kettner does a wise thing, stays, gets weak side position. Nice read by Clark in confidence.
Are both of these teams good off-the-ball teams in terms of movement?
I think Connecticut runs a ton of things. Very active with their post screens.
Hamilton off the feed from Jones. Hot start for Richard Hamilton. Half the Husky 14.
And remember we were talking about the dribbling ability now. When you can shoot like he can, that opens up that dribble path on occasion.
Charlton clock now watched by Roshmel Jones. Bassett to Babel to Kettner. UConn reacted quickly every time Kettner has touched the ball. Monty Mack. Very physical inside. Kettner on the ground. Bassett fighting. Kettner the putback.
That's the aggressive play they want. You notice the doubling of the post. Kettner's going to have to make a real quick move or give it up. Freeman trying to help out. He did it last year, UConn as well.
5 tries in the paint until one fell, and the Minutemen within 5.
Now, when you say they good off the ball, the screen away, see El-Amin, it's not individual, it's orchestrated.
El-Amin in small space. Freeman fouled on the way up by Mack, who thought he had the quick hand.
Now, that's confidence in your point guard. I mean, he's got the ability to get in the lane. Not much area to make that bounce pass. And Freeman, who I think's improved immeasurably since last year with his offensive ability, able to catch, and unfortunately for him, incomplete.
Mack's first foul, second on the team. Connecticut has not committed a foul despite the pace here early. And here is Kevin Freeman, sophomore, 6'7".
Went south to go to high school. Down to Patterson, Springfield kid. Joined with Timmy Thomas down there.
Grew up in Massachusetts, high school in New Jersey. Ricky Moore you saw come in with the bit of applause is for Suleiman Wan, who you see deep protecting the backcourt. There is Suleiman, 6'11" sophomore from Senegal, playing just his second game, became eligible this past Saturday.
Pretty impressive too. 8 rebounds, a few blocks, 3 of them, 5 points. The guy, they expect great things. They feel he has a terrific touch and learning the game. Big wingspan, too.
7'6" is the wingspan of number 34, so keep an eye on him in the paint. Bassett, nearly trapped. John DePina sets him back up. And there is Juan with the rebound. El-Amin quickly locates Freeman, who had no shot, and they'll get into a half-court offense with Ricky Moore. Moore, Jones, and El-Amin. Essentially a 3-guard look from both teams right now.
Pretty fair matchups.
2 freshmen, El-Amin on DePina.
They would look for the outside guys to take over for UConn right now with this lineup.
El-Amin wanted to take DePina. Over the back on Suleiman Wan.
Well, he gets to the rim. A little one-on-one in the 3-second lane. The big concern, I would think, for Jim Calhoun are the type of shots that Amin gets, because a lot of bigger guys are going to be playing him, and as he gets close to the goal, he's going to have to learn whether to give it up or what type of release to put up.
El-Amin is 5'10", You'll see that when John DePina is not playing him. DePina's 5'9", so it's two young players in the same predicament this year in college.
And DePina's got some juice, doesn't he? And fun with the ball, sets his guys up, prototype point guy.
And Quincy Hardnett checking in for Connecticut, number 30, the only senior on the roster. Here's Clark for three. Dash it, a weak side rebound, but he traveled.
Yeah, in a hurry. Even the jumper earlier, he's really improved according to Bruiser. Sometimes you get a little skittish or in a hurry as Jimmy consults the fresh-looking Bruiser Flint. And what a beautiful suit is. Najmal Bassett out of Bobby Hurley's St. Anthony's High School, and they feel he's going to be terrific.
7 points off those 5 UMass turnovers for the Huskies, who lead by 6 here in the first half. Away from the ball, a foul on Suleiman again.
2 in a row. Well, he's learning the game. And what did Jimmy tell us? He actually learned English from watching television.
Yes, he watched
incredible.
BET, Black Entertainment Television, helped him learn English, but he also has to learn that the referee's going to have a close eye on you.
Well, he's got to learn how many fouls you can have. He's got 2 quickies, and physical you must be against Larry Kettner, but within the rules.
Suleiman on the bench with those 2 fouls. Jake Voskuhl comes right back in. It's only Juan's 29th organized basketball game. Really had just 1 year of high school ball, so he is raw. DePina hands off to Kettner. Sweet little turnaround hook.
Nice job getting to the gap by DePina. I mean, he makes good decisions.
UMass within 4. DePina the steal, but he stepped on the sideline. Mike Pitts with the correct call.
Now, did you read the notes where he was a karate, one of the top-ranked karate guys at 13? You don't want to mix with him, Mike.
And he's quick, too, so he knows he's going to get you somehow, some way. Huskies by 4, official timeout. 4, thanks in part to their freshman point guard.
Well, they run a little pick and roll here, and he dives the gap. But right here, Larry Kettner, very good at making himself available. He gets it a little too deep, and he does walk because he jumps, stopped, and then step with the foot. But the understanding of when to give it up, key. He's got a little excitement in his game. Great background, played a ton of games AAU, the Boston Shootout, South Boston with Monty Mack.
Monty Mack and Jonathan DePina were teammates. DePina had to sit out last year for Mack, excuse me, had to sit out last year for academics. This is for both of the South Boston kids their first year, and they're making an impact for UMass. Out of the timeout, Roshmel Jones fires. Kettner all over the rebound. And here is DePina running the show.
He's got some one-man fast break in him, doesn't he? Look at his early post.
Kettner off the mark. Hamilton the rebound. Voskuhl runs the floor. What a block!
All the way to Springfield. That's up to Pike, toll-free. Oh, Jimmy Calhoun wants the deuce, but say it isn't so, Larry.
Larry Kettner, huge block.
Return to sender, the big fella. And Jake thinks he's got a little freebie, but Larry with a message and a massage. And that's pretty impressive, huh?
Becomes the 6th Minuteman player to have 100 blocks in his career. Had 73 last year to lead the Atlantic 10. Huskies by 4, 9 minutes in. Mike Tirico, Bill Raftery, Hartford Civic Center. Antrick Kleber out high for UConn.
Hamilton trying to post Clark. Elevate and shoot the jumper. Nice hands.
The quick hands from the shorter Clark. Transition for DePina and the Minutemen. To Clark, and they'll set it up.
See, the early push lets them duck in the post. Weeks and Kettner, nothing. Back it out and get organized.
There's Monty Mack. Voskuhl out hedging. Clark for 3. Both teams have gone cold in the last couple of minutes. And it will stay with the Minutemen.
Say, Mike, Kleber wearing Weeks. I mean, it would bring you into another month or another year trying to keep him off the glass. Tyrone, heavyweight. Great checkout by Kleber, but he will be sore in the morning.
Kleber giving away in the program 43 pounds and maybe a little bit more. Weeks is listed at 258 and Kleber at 215.
Same little play. Turn the corner or kick to the wing.
Mike Babel just off the bench. Doesn't look for a shot very often. Weeks turned away. DePina traveled. 7 turnovers for UMass.
Now, once in a while, when you're as quick as he is, you try and do things in a little bit of a hurry. Bruiser, one of the premier guards out of St. Joseph. I did a Coppin State game, and Fang Mitchell was raving. And I didn't say the game. I had forgotten he coached down there with Fang. And it's that Philly connection, Cheney, Sunny Hill League, and always sound defensively.
First couple of years after Bruiser Flint played at St. Joe's, he coached with Fang Mitchell at Coppin State. Coppin State, a lot like UMass. They'll play anybody, anywhere.
Fang's not afraid. And good pressure on the dribble here, huh?
Look at the 2 freshmen going at it. Here's Freeman, found himself alone, but didn't realize it. Here's DePina on El Amin. Whistle behind the play. A technical foul on Jim Calhoun, perhaps?
I would think so, as Jimmy has been chatting with Mr. Burr.
And Jim Burr would not even give Jim Calhoun an explanation. Jim just wants to know, what did I say?
I think Jim Burr needs some Q-tips. He didn't even respond. He just blew the whistle. And you know what, though? That absolutely hurts UMass. They've got a fast break. DePina in the open floor. Think about it. And they do get the ball back, but if I'm an official and I'm going to nail somebody, I'm going to let the layup go in, then bang. I mean, this is a pretty good break for UConn.
Tyrone Weeks has not missed a free throw. That's 20 of 20 this year. Calhoun says, I was maybe 1/2 step out of the coach's box, and he can't believe that that's why he would get his technical.
I think Jimmy Burr puts coal in his kids' stockings. I mean, anybody gives a tea this close to Christmas.
Bruiser Flint better be careful. The Brew is always out of the coach's box. UMass retains possession. Clark trapped.
Well, you know, sometimes guys do get the tee. Lethargic offense, not getting inside passes. I'm sure Jimmy wired for sound. There's a lot between this rivalry, Mike Tirico, as you well know.
It's a lot of fun for the folks in this area who really do talk about it a lot, especially when both teams were in Final Four contention a few years ago. Hamilton blanketed by Babel. Toji's a good defender.
He sure is.
Kettner takes it away. Now UConn is turning it over. And UMass a chance to tie.
Give that turnover to Babel. Caused it. Here comes the double.
On Kettner, fighting his way through. Vosco fighting hard for Connecticut, tied up with Babel. Numbers for the Huskies. Here's Hamilton.
Pretty. Oh.
Ricky Moore the rebound. And a foul on Jonathan DePina.
The little guy trying to scrape down there. Jake Vosco competes. I mean, I loved watching him last year. I mean, he's taking on everybody on the defensive end. They're able to get that break because of his feistiness under the glass.
UMass foul number 10, Jonathan DePina. His first personal foul.
See the scores go by. Some very good games as finals have ended and teams are playing some good competition before conference season.
I'm sure they doubled you in your neighborhood. I mean, you're such an effective performer. He's trying to step through. They may have doubled you, but it was usually a date. He's got some strength, Larry, though, huh? Getting between those two guys.
Boy, he has improved a lot. Sitting out his first year, getting his feet under him his second year. Kettner and Charlton Clark will take a seat as Ajmal Bassett and Monty Mack come in for UMass.
So much emotion in games like this that's got to settle down, much like a fight where guys are getting the feel, seeing what they can do. Kettner does a nice job bodying his guy out of the block, and they pressure the dribbler or the passer, and there isn't as much of a passing game. That's why Hamilton had the turnover, or passing lane, I should say.
5 for Ricky Moore. UMass breaks the press with Weeks. Now let the guard set up the half-court offense with DePina. Set play here for UMass, run by the freshman DePina. Babel didn't have the entry. The double team forces the turnover. El Amin gave up his body. Hamilton finds Freeman. And the foul. Count the goal.
And Bassett was right there. Almost got a piece of the rejection. But numbers, the white shirts outnumbering. Anytime there's a turnover like that, it's a 5-on-4 break already because Babel's out of bounds. Here you got to establish your pivot foot and turn back or keep the dribble alive and don't help the other team. Don't feed the fast break. Good poise here by Hamilton. And what a find, the dive to the goal. Pretty strong, aggressive move by Freeman.
One more for Kevin, the sophomore who tonight is making his 30th consecutive start.
Started the last 19 last year. Solid contributor, and I think his offense has stepped up now. He's got a good stroke, or at least it's confident.
So you see the turnovers have been a huge factor in Connecticut's 20 points, more than half of them coming off of UMass giveaways.
I think they've got to do a reset here, UMass. By that, when they go low and the trap comes, kick it out and then dump it back down. And Kettner's out, but maybe Bassett or Weeks can do some damage. Got to get Weeks to the foul line, too.
He set the screen for Monty Mack, who misfired. DePina took it away from El Amin, but had a toe on the tape before he could save it. It's UConn ball after this timeout. The intensity of Bruiser Flint. Tough love for his guards. His team down 7. UConn leading by 7. It is not too late if you're looking for a Christmas gift. They could just sit in the house, right?
Pretty much. And the MassMutual U game, Mike.
Here at the Hartford Civic Center, UMass and UConn. This is the second in an 8-game series between these two state universities. Border states. Khalid El Amin from the state of Minnesota, where he was the best high school player the last 2 years.
And that's the activity. We mentioned UMass earlier. Nice pressure here. Tough getting it in. All the activity in the offense left the opening. Amin with the beautiful read.
This is Connecticut's biggest lead of the night. They had a 7-point lead earlier. Now it's 9. 3 guards for UMass, looking for some offense. Monty Mack as Rosh Jones fell down. Here is Clark, who's been cold. Now maybe he'll catch fire.
Well, they need it, and Voskuhl has done a nice job with Kettner, pushing him out a little bit, and then they trap. Got to get him involved.
El Amin, an ill-advised attempted response. Clark back the other way for UMass.
And a response from the bench, too.
Oh, he got hit twice. No foul. Bassett traveled.
Yeah, you've been in golf too much. A little 10-footer. Let's everybody relax. Back off. Oh, they tee it up on this level.
He's getting knocked down. Look at this.
He may have got it, but look at the read here by Voskuhl. I mean, that's a good body belt. I mean, that's nice and clean.
I understand if it's Northeast. Voskuhl's from Texas, though.
You probably thought that was a shank.
UConn by 6. Hamilton couldn't get the handle off that little curl, but they'll reset the offense.
That's what makes him so tough. He moves the puppies, uses his guys to free himself. Got to be careful of a 5-second here.
Hamilton finds Ricky Moore. Got a step. Found Antrick Kleber cutting. Freeman the rebound, and a foul on Freeman.
He does clear some people. And they made a nice look into the lane. Kleber unable to knock that down.
Our officials tonight, by the way, we did mention them earlier. Michael Kitts, Jim Burr, and Teddy Valentine.
The 2-2-1. They have not been able to attack it, get easy goals. They've been able to settle. This has been the mystery for Bruiser's guys. What they run, they like this high guy for using the little screen away to get Kettner involved.
DePina trying to find Kettner, but Kleber denied the entry pass well. Monty Mack trying to create something. The shots have been tough ones for UMass. Here is Hamilton in transition. And the foul.
That's the confidence of a good offensive player, isn't it? I mean, it didn't look like there was anything there. Turns it up a little notch. A few gears extra by Richard Hamilton. But he did have some options, too. He's got the lane filled on the left. He's got a trail guy. A little splice is nice as he tries to get to the 10.
So that will send Richard Hamilton to the line. You see the leading scorer for the Huskies. He had 33 in 28 minutes in one of UConn's better wins this year. A 74-63 win in Charlottesville against Virginia.
Well, when your inside game is gone, that's what Bruiser right now is concerned with. They're not getting some things. It puts a lot of pressure on the outside people. So you've got to get, I think Larry's got to screen and step to the ball at some point just to get some motion in his. If they can identify, Connecticut's going to take him out of the game.
Monquencio Hardnett comes in for Hamilton, who leads all scorers with 9 points.
Got a reverse guy, looking to post, between in the middle. Nice trap here.
Kirkland able to step through it, and the foul called about 40 feet away from the basket.
And those hurt. Monquencio doing his job hustling, but you don't want to get the nickel dimers in there.
His first personal foul.
See another Big East team in action. Providence playing Loyola Marymount. The Big East, which has been beaten up upon this year, says, hey, wait a minute, don't forget what we've done this week. 16-0 since Saturday for the Big East.
Well, some teams are stepping up. I think the Cuse looks a little bit better. West Virginia's been impressive games, and Miami.
Miami won at Memphis last night. Chris Kirkland missed it and foul in the backcourt on Bassett.
One and done, it looks like, too. They're not getting a chance to tip it up. That little sequence of 3 in a row.
Bruiser Flint with a question for Ted Valentine.
His first personal foul, 6
Voskuhl back in for Freeman, so let's check the Husky lineup. It is Jones and Moore in the backcourt with Voskuhl, Kleber up front, and Hardnett.
Foot went back. Good call.
It was never touched by UMass. Kirkland was following him all the way, and his effort paid off. 6th UConn turnover.
Good hustle on both guys' part. Jimmy feeling it was touched, never touched by anybody.
The sophomore Chris Kirkland hit the deck like his cousin Levon Kirkland, linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
He's got a few pounds to go, though, don't you think?
Levon is the heaviest linebacker in the NFL at 272.
You see that trap. Rushing. You got to be patient on the kickback. You can always get it back to Larry inside.
The 3-guard offense worked for Bruiser Flint last year when UMass was struggling. They lost to Virginia Tech. They couldn't find the right mix. They went to the 3-guard, and it was very, very effective. Hasn't worked to this point yet tonight.
I'll tell you, 6-3 in some of the clubs they played. You know, Purdue is one of them. Fresno, Kansas, they played great.
And they've only played 2 home games this year so far. They only played 10 for the whole season. Very odd for a team that has such respect. Ricky Moore got a nice screen from Voskuhl. Jake got the rebound.
No body. Nice slide, but a big guy. Little kiss at the end. You got to ride the guy all the way. Respect the offensive rebounder. This is pretty good pressure here, Mike.
Kirkland on Hardnett forces the steal. Here is Moore to the goal. Waved it off, or did they count it?
No, I think they waved it off.
Charge on.
Yep.
Calhoun asking the same question.
Well, you can move. Right here, I just think he was sent the slide. I mean, that's one of those that would offend a few people, though. I think he's got a legitimate beat, but he wants to stay. No sense leaving early. The team's playing pretty well.
So beef quietly is what we're saying. When you have that one technical.
I think I would have gotten a little, I may have disrobed on that one.
Raj Jones picks up the foul. DePina picked up the dribble. Kettner bailed him out.
Run your stuff and run it again. That's what they have to do. Make UConn play some D. Don't turn it over.
Monty Mack looking to get hot. Here is Tyrone Weeks. Kleber waved a hand in his face. El Amin at 5'10" gets the rebound. Moore with a clear path.
Kleber with a great job holding off, too. He emptied up that clear path.
Inside of 4 minutes, and UMass stuck on 16 points for quite some time.
The screen down. Good, solid, man. Here's the double. Tough
Kettner,
shot.
foul.
Tough shot. And that's what it ends up getting you. You're in trouble. And you're fortunate to get to the free throw line, kick it out, let people. This is tough. I mean, they have recognized. They did it last year in talking to Jimmy Calhoun. They take away your vision. He actually turns baseline, which is sealed because he knows the trap's coming from the high side. A little bit of force, but frustration vented there by Larry Kettner.
So here is Kettner, who some people in the preseason magazines rated one of the top 5 returning centers in the country.
Well, you agree? I think he's proven that this year.
His play against Brad Miller of Purdue and Rafe LaFrentz of Kansas. You showed earlier the defensive part. He had good offensive games in both of those efforts.
Now, there's a lot of great games that take place during the course of the season. The Kansas game and his defense in the Kansas game, and also with Miller against Purdue, a factor.
He scored offensively 14 in both of those games. Right now he has 4, and his Minutemen are down 10.
Larry's a haberdasher, a tailor. He alterates things. He changes on the defense, the shot you're going to take.
Monty Mack, the quick hand.
I don't think I give him my Hugo Boss, but
UMass foul number 5, Monty Mack.
I might throw a little jumper in there at him.
Foul, 7-15.
You've upgraded to Hugo now.
Well, I just heard about it. Top with some of those NBA guys. Robert Hall was my lead.
Here is El Amin. One more for Khalid. You may have heard the story. So many people thought he was going to be a Minnesota Golden Gopher. 2 years remaining in high school, and people said he's going to be at Minnesota. But
Including Clem.
that's right. Clem Haskins, the coach there. But eventually made his decision. Instead, it came down to Kansas, Georgetown, or UConn in the end. He ended up here with the Huskies.
They said to give a hug when he sees him. That's what he thinks of Clem.
Thinks a lot of him. Jim Calhoun thinks a lot of his freshman point guard. Leading the MassMutual U game by 12, a Christmas Eve treat as you wrap your presents with a happy holiday wish.
Is that Dave Miller and his bride up there, huh? And the major finish here as Vasco's able to slide by and do some damage.
UMass struggled getting it in, but they will retain possession.
Now finishing Khalid El Amin, for a rookie to come in is polished, I think. Find people, run an offense, have the confidence of a coach, and I think it's Moore that helps them too. System, they complement one another, feed off of one another.
Can take some of that pressure of being the point guard off the freshman. Clark misfires. The drought continues. UMass, no points from the bench. 2 field goals in 10 minutes. And El Amin and the Huskies have built a big lead, but Khalid denied there. And Tyrone Weeks, who's been very quiet, cleans the board. Clark to Monty Mack for the pull-up. They are 6 of 22 from the field.
And that wasn't a bad look either. That's one of his knockdowns as Weeks ends up with the tag.
Second one on Tyrone.
I'm impressed with UConn's physical play on the glass. I mean, they are banging some bodies.
Because we thought that would be a place where UMass would clearly dominate tonight.
I mean, just physically. They're so imposing, it looks like they would.
Jake Voskuhl of the starters, as a matter of fact of the entire roster, is the heaviest player at 235 pounds. And that whole front line, Weeks, Kettner, Bassett, that 3-man rotation between those 2 spots, they're all over or right at 250 and above.
I just mentioned earlier the rebound margin as we take a look at it for the season, +6. Generally, that speaks well for you. Look at this, not rebounding there though.
Hamilton missed it. Kettner gets it back. It has been 10 minutes since UMass hit a 2-point field goal. They have won 3. Voskuhl was holding Kettner, and they exchanged glares after the whistle.
Well, he's banging him out, trying to ride him out. And finishing the thought on Voskuhl, I mean, Pete Newell was just honored as well. So many big guys are going to that camp to learn, and you don't want this guy to duck in. And this, you got to hit the weight room for this, right? I venture to say that you would get a rash once you got near the 3-second lane. I mean, I would be supplying you with a respirator. And myself as well, I might add.
That is some serious combat in there. It's now 2 for Voskuhl. The other center, Suleiman Wan, picked up 2 extremely quick fouls. So Antrick Kleber will play the middle for probably the rest of the half.
And Wayne probably showing some inexperience. That's the big concern for Jimmy. I think he's a February player. Keep learning, keep helping, give some minutes. Now they got a 3-headed guy in the low post area with Kleber alongside.
The junior Kettner will have 1 more. You get a look at Kleber. 6'10" junior at 215 pounds.
The tough thing for young guys, he's not getting his touches, he's not getting his shots. It's just staying composed, feeding your guys, hoping they knock a few shots down and come back to me. At least Kettner is saying when I am free.
Kettner missed 2 free throws earlier, made them here. The UMass deficit 11 as we close in on 2 minutes. Carl Ravitch with you in the studio at halftime. Ricky Moore watched by Monty Mack. Doing some time and gets it to Hamilton.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of palming goes on, huh? Side saddle, a lot of luggage.
El Amin got a step to Freeman. The foul by Bassett.
I believe, owns the 3-second lane, creating everybody turns and watches the point guard. And the good ones, he's a strong little guy, too. Look at the shoulders. Able to get through unscathed. And a little dish as Freeman's unable to convert and pays for it a little bit. But that's a little magic. But a little guy.
Clark, Mack, Weeks, and Bassett, 2 fouls each for UMass. And here's Freeman.
Breaking down and dishing. And that is some compliment to your half-court offense.
Roshmel Jones comes in for Ricky Moore. So Jones and El Amin will play the backcourt for now. One more for Freeman. Bill mentioned that he's from Springfield, Mass. Played 3 years of high school ball in Springfield. Klaber dives for it. Monty Mack was pushed out of bounds by Antrick. Jim Calhoun and Jim Burr now finally having their much delayed conversation on the other end of the court.
Well, some officials are a little slow reacting. It takes a while to get through.
Well, Christmas Eve, I mentioned the treat we have coming up. Eve rundown on the Christmas night rundown, excuse me.
And don't tell me you're in Hawaii for that, are you? Or did you do it once before?
No, I was there when they shot that. And I can tell you that is very, very fun.
And you went to Syracuse.
Yeah.
Like heaven.
Oh, being out there. 2 for Monty Mack. He has 7. That leads the Minutemen, who have it under double digits in the final 140 of the first half.
Defensively got to be sound. Better player prevailed there. Out jumped. And the soft caress by Hamilton.
He has 11. That's the Husky lead in the final 90 seconds.
We get up at 6 in the morning. Nice little pick.
DePina short. Here comes El Amin in transition. 2 on 3. Gonna try it anyway.
Oh!
Second shot by El Amin and the foul.
Major league delivery. I don't think I chest stomp him. You might get hurt. He just froze the D with the dribble. I mean, everybody relax just a little. He slows it down and bang, push it forward. Now watch him take the hit. The kid's so sweet. Head up, not concerned about what kind of hit. Now here he relaxes the D, the blow by, and the little result favorable for the Huskies.
You saw he started it with the rebound. That's his 4th rebound of the first half. Not bad for 5'10".
Clem may not hug him when he sees him.
Minnesota looked quite good as they beat Fresno State on Saturday night on ESPN.
It's absolutely crazy, you know, week to week, game to game. You don't know how against Cincinnati, Clem's guys struggle. I think they've got themselves a lot better team than they played against Cincy. Maybe they found themselves against Fresno.
Before the inbounds, a foul called on Jones.
And that's one of those hushers. You don't want to give it up. Helps Bruiser's guys. Got to convert a little bit. Maybe they can get something out of the defense, get themselves into this at 10.
Each team, 10-plus team fouls. Coming up at halftime, Carl in the studio will have a profile of Khalid El Amin. Good game over on the Deuce with Arizona and Florida State, and a huge blow for Penn State as they go into their bowl game. Curtis Enos in his eligibility story. Coming up with Carl in the studio at halftime. The last time these teams met last year, Charlton Clark, who's at the line, led UMass. He had 15 points in a game won by 3 by UConn.
I was impressed with his leadership today. He didn't hear enough noise with the guys at each basket. But they should be a little more emotional.
This morning in the shoot-around, he was after the big men. There's no question Clark, the junior, is the vocal leader of this team. Tyrone Weeks, who's off the floor right now and has been silent in the first half, he's the emotional on-court guy who they look for stability. Final minute. Here's Hamilton over Babel.
Good job by Babel.
It's the 4th time we've said it this half, with good reason.
Tough when you got to out-jump guys, particularly with the lift of Babel.
It has been very tough for the Minutemen, and credit the UConn defense.
I would try and get Kettner another touch and see what they can do to him. He's got his duck in.
Babel didn't see him for the hair second he was open. They'll try it again. He gets it to Kettner.
Hey,
Tommy hits.
and he spaced a little bit, went away from the defense.
Kettner has 8, shot clock off. Last shot here in Hartford in the first half. Ricky Moore uses the screen, gets it to Hamilton, clears out on Babel.
Once again, great job by Babel. Hamilton's going to have to loosen him up a little bit.
Well, UMass got close midway through, but UConn pulls away. Big first half for Khalid El-Amin, and Bruiser Flint's Minutemen down by 11 at the break. Now to the studio, and here's Carl Ravitch.
Mike, thanks very much. And as you point out, with, of course, UConn and UMass and the regionalization of the New England region, don't forget Khalid El-Amin, great memories of that great Boston College guard, John Bagley. Coming up at the half, we will take a closer look at Khalid El-Amin and find out how he ended up at the Gopher program. Many in Minnesota counted on Khalid El-Amin to fill the shoes of Jackson once he left. Not the case. As Ian Page reports, don't necessarily always believe everything you hear.
He's not the biggest player you've ever played against. He's not the quickest player you've ever played against. But there's something about his personality. There's something about his perseverance. There's something about his mental toughness. There's something about his desire and competitiveness that kind of separates him from a lot of people that you're going to meet at his age.
There are experiences in Khalid El-Amin's life which make him seem older than his 18 years. McDonald's All-American, was a 2-time Minnesota Player of the Year, leading his team to 3 consecutive state championships.
To El-Amin to win it. Yes! Khalid El-Amin with the win!
He also found time to start a family.
At 17. I was married at 17.
And after only his sophomore year in high school, announced where he intended to play college ball.
I have decided that once I finish my career at North High, I will play for Coach Clem Haskins at the University of Minnesota.
But as graduation neared, changes occurred. His marriage ended, and so did the honeymoon with the Golden Gophers.
I have tremendous respect for Coach Clem Haskins and the Gopher program. It's a great program, but I felt that Connecticut was a better program for me. I was just ready to try to make some moves. And, you know, Coach Haskins, he persuaded me to commit early, but as time went on, I figured I knew that wasn't the right thing to do.
We really weren't sure of our situation here. We thought a kid, Monquincio Harden, would develop into a nice point guard. Instead, Monquincio's become a much better second guard. So we decided to make a move. We kind of just hung around until our opportunity came to talk to Mom and Dad and to Khalid. And he just wanted to know, you know, what are my opportunities here? We showed it to them and showed him what he could do here at UConn. And thank God he came.
I watched Connecticut a lot last year, and I seen what they like. They like the floor leader out there, somebody who can come in and run the team and, you know, tell the players where to go, you know, and communicate with the coach, be on the same level with the coach.
You know, that's the good thing about Khalid is that he understands good point guards always have good relationships with the head coach.
Certain players I treat different. I don't say much to Ricky Moore either. I think each player has to be handled entirely different. If he's got the delicate balance of our team, I want to be able to verbalize with him as I pull him over to talk to him more than necessarily just get on him, because he needs to make good things happen for us.
Coach Calhoun has given me the confidence to go out there and play my game. That's what I want to do, play my game, and make everybody else look good, and they can make me look good in return.
His effervescent personality carries himself on the court, helps lead us. He's always chattering and so on. And at times in practice, when coaches occasionally are trying to instruct, also that chatter here is a little bit too. We have to kind of curtail that. Once again, I think the biggest thing about Khalid, when you talk to him, he's a very mature young guy. Then you got to really go back a step. You know, he's 18. This is his first time around this whole deal, and he's got to be taught and brought along like every other kid, because this is a whole new world for him.
Well, his 9 points, 4 rebound, and 1 assist effort has UConn on top. Mike Tirico, Bill Raftery's second half is coming up.
Really, UMass unable to do it on the offensive end because of the UConn defense.
Outstanding, and set up their running game too for UConn. And Amin in the open floor has been terrific. They've been penetrating, doing some damage, but it's a shame UMass can't get the touches down low, and we'll get to that shortly, as the ability to push. And now let's just check the house out here. Let's hesitate. Little count, cross, take the hit, and kiss it home. And the ability to get free. The soft touch here of Hamilton, and the story, I think, of the game is the double down here of Kettner. He just can't get enough looks. He can't get enough touches. the inability of him to dominate on offense. And there's one where the frustration was vented, but they were doing the right thing. They reset him and got it to him. They've got to do more of that.
There are the first half numbers. The Minutemen shooting under 30%. And boy, the points off turnover. 12 more for the Huskies, who lead by 11. This is technically a neutral court. Half the tickets available to each school. So that's why you see UConn in white. Here's Jake Voskuhl, fouled early to start this second half.
And that's one of those plays where you're not ready. Defensively, the flash to the post, they didn't negate it. And you mentioned neutral. I got a feeling early, Mass played as though they were the visitors. You know, a little quick.
Monty Mack and Charlton Clark been on fire the last 3 games. Victories for the Minutemen, but they have struggled a bit here in the first half. Free throws for Jake Voskuhl early. He'll have one more. Voskuhl, the sophomore out of Katy, Texas. You see his season numbers. Jake, 4 points and a couple of rebounds in the first half. He had a big game on ESPN against Rhode Island in the preseason NIT. And after that, really wasn't looking for his shot. Kind of got out of the flow of the offense, but has been more of what the coaches expected here the last few games.
Pretty intelligent the way he plays the back of that 2-2-1. I mean, that's a position that can kill you if you don't understand when to gamble, when to stay home.
DePina watched by El Amin. Clark continues to remain cold from the field. DePina tried to get a quick step on El Amin. Missed the pull-up jumper. Rebound for UConn. Ricky Moore pushes. Nice bounce to Freeman. Twirls and blocked by Tyrone Weeks.
Nice job. Forced him under the glass.
DePina really wants to score on El Amin. Finds Kettner. UMass on the board. They need to settle it down.
And this is feisty, though. This is what they normally play at, that fever pitch. They have not shown that emotion.
Freshman on freshman. 5'9" and 5'10". DePina and El Amin. Weeks had just 2 first-half points. Couldn't beat the double team. Here come the Huskies. Richard Hamilton.
Good save, huh?
Jake Voskuhl restarts the offense. Connecticut 9-1. They've won their last 6. They have 2 conference wins already. Shot clock coming inside 10. El Amin locates Freeman, who spins on Weeks.
Pretty darn good move.
Neither team can get one to go here early in the second half.
Kettner had established low post, and they didn't give it to him. Here he is again. They ought to go right away. Now go quick.
Push on Voskuhl is third. Voskuhl has been very active defensively tonight.
Anytime the low post guy gets the basketball, here's the little duck in. They will come big. And right there, the fadeaway forces the tough down. That's one where I thought Kettner might be in position because they don't get the blockout coverage as Voskuhl comes over. A different team without this guy on the floor.
Voskuhl with 3 fouls checks out, and Suleiman Wan, even though it's W-A-N-E, it's pronounced Wan. Young man from Senegal playing just his 2nd game for the Huskies, checks back in.
Did you explain that to Calhoun, by the way?
And that's the 3rd foul on Wan, who's played barely a minute in this game. He's picked up 3 fouls.
And Klaber's up right away, as Jimmy Calhoun knows. He's trying to force feed him, get him to understand. Here his job, and see how he doesn't seal off the baseline, doesn't stay up straight, reaches down. I mean, 2 major mistakes defensively because of inexperience.
If you take Suleiman Wan's hands and extend them, 7'6" is his wingspan from fingertip across his back to the other fingertip.
He could feed a large family, huh?
Huge wingspan. He'll sit down. As you look at a couple of other New England teams in the Big East in the lead. In the early portions of their game, DePaul trying to bounce back. They lost to St. John's in double overtime at Madison Square Garden on Saturday night.
And Pat playing slow ball, running that Princeton offense.
It will stay with UMass. You mentioned Pat Kennedy, the DePaul coach. The last 2 losses for Jim Calhoun's Huskies have been to Florida State.
Amazing. At the end of last year?
At the NIT, and now this year. to Steve Robinson in Florida State, and they're involved in that great game over on the Deuce with Arizona that Carl will keep us updated on here in the second half.
What a nice job he's done. Here's a little 2-3 on the out of bounds. Should be able to rebound. Little jumper. Kettler can turn, seal his guy off.
No Monty Mack on the floor, just the two guards. Babel, Weeks, and Kettner. Pass for Clark broken up. Freeman on the run with El Amin. Here's Khalid.
He really knows what shot to deliver, doesn't he? A lot of guys would have tried to get to the side, use the glass, would have been blocked. That's last trip to Peanut. It only had to take the little jumper. Kettner had his guys screen down low.
This is the biggest Husky lead at 14, 3 minutes into the second half. Last year at about this point in this game, they led by 15. UConn went ice cold. UMass had a three that missed at the buzzer.
Nice play by Klaber. Beat the big guy to the box.
El Amin missed the triple. He's a point guard who loves to shoot. DePina finally beat him down the floor.
And that is some foot race on the long jumper, and really had a nice flow going. I'm not so sure the kind of shot that Jimmy wanted.
Ricky Moore back the other way. Another block for Kettner. Charlton Clark hand checked and stopped by El Amin, who had a tough couple of trips there.
That was a very impressive dribble move, wasn't it? I mean, to the open floor, full speed. Well, if you can't do some things and get the touches on offense, help your club any way you can. And there's the Sultan of SWAT from Amherst. I mean, a presence down in the box. The big guy.
Larry Kettner, the 6'10" junior.
That is tough to overcome. 16 points off it. And Mass with only 2.
Connecticut does to you. They frustrate you. They get you to play real sloppy. UMass has never been accused of playing slick and pretty basketball to begin with. Their wins are blue collar. Transition Huskies. Rip Hamilton. Monquencio Hardneck.
And what a nice play by Hamilton. He knew his guy had to stay with him because he's going to shoot the three. The dive down the lane. Very effective by Q.
The lead is 14. DePina came out. It's Clark and Mack in the backcourt. Monty Mack scored 21 last game. Hasn't done much tonight. Does have 7, but they've been real quiet. Mike Babel, a rare shot.
Nice rebound by Ajmal.
Bassett got fouled by the second man guarding him. And there's some of the emotion shown by Ajmal.
Oh, imagine if he gets a nice gift at Christmas, how he's going to remote. He may knock the tree down. But nice weak side position. He's grown as a player. Great confidence. The maturing process for players. And right here, you can see the body contact. Maybe somehow turn a little, use the left hand, or keep possession and try and jam it.
Ajmal's numbers improving over last year. For one key number, he added about 25 pounds of muscle in the offseason.
Hit the weight room, and they all do it.
Well, UMass has controlled the boards here the last few trips, so Jim Calhoun brings back Suleiman Wan with his 3 fouls. Bassett hits 1 of 2. We have an official timeout. Just inside of 16 minutes. The MassMutual U game. UConn won it last year. They have a big lead this year. We welcome you back to Hartford.
One of your fraternity brothers, huh?
Yes, very close personal friend.
How much is the tuition?
Too much if you're showing up like that.
The parents can afford the tuition. They can't afford the pay.
Well, this is a neutral site game, as we mentioned. And of the 18 Connecticut home games, they do play 12 of them here at the Hartford Civic Center. They don't play back on campus at the 10,000-seat Gampel Pavilion until the end of next month.
See how they're sliding behind the pick. Not afraid, particularly with Moore on the deep jumper.
Shot clock coming inside of 10. Moore. Well defended. Freeman tries to go around Bassett and create. Ajmal the rebound. Here comes UMass. Little hop in their step. Monty Mack lost it.
And there's Kettner right away. I'd forget to just stay in the offense and dump it down. Particularly with the inexperience down below.
He's being watched by Suleiman Wan. Clark for 3.
That'll get him going a little bit. This is the end. They got to perk up.
And it's just the 5th field goal in the last 18 minutes for UMass, and a foul on the Minutemen. as Hamilton drove.
And that time they were in a little full court press, and Babel had a sprint to try and get back on Hamilton and got there a little bit late.
UMass foul number 23, Mike Babel.
El Amin comes back in. Khalid.
Checking back in for Connecticut, number 42, Khalid.
Very interesting feature watching that at halftime. And the star he was in Minnesota. There's Suleiman Wan.
On the boards, huh? A little breakdown.
Raw talent with great potential. Next year, this guy could be a big, big factor. And you think, Bill, they can get something out of him before this year's over?
Well, the feeling, at least with Jimmy, is that if he learns exactly what they want and just contributes little ways, defensively, blocks, rebounds, it's going to help him.
Bassett working on Freeman. Bassett the physical advantage. Good D by Freeman. Warren kept it alive. He does have good instincts. Here is Hardnett. Has Clark.
Whoa, Charlton really broke down. He thought he was going to get some help in the middle. I didn't get the support. Nice little blow by.
22nd timeout for Bruiser Flint and the Minutemen. Disappointed with Clark's defense. Huskies by 14.
Bruiser called this timeout, I think, for the big guy. Kender does not get back. And what happens, you can just see, not the all-out sprint. You got to get after it. Get those puppies going. Great shot blocker. This shouldn't happen at all. And that's just laziness, inattention, and that's why the 20 and the hook by the coach.
Kettner out. Bassett, Weeks on the floor, and UMass and Bruiser Flint looking for some offense, going back to 3 guards, down 14. Here is Clark. Monty Mack. Bassett was denied inside. Clark had that first step. Found a little crease. DePina quick-handed. And the foul on Rip Hamilton for Connecticut.
Now you think that little run that was going on, the 3, you mentioned a little hop in their step, and Larry doesn't get back. What it does, it takes the air out of you a little bit. If he sprinted back, they had to stop. Now they're back in this thing emotionally as well as point.
Bruiser Flint, the 3rd youngest head coach in Division I college basketball. Off the ball, Antrick Kleber was battling inside with Tyrone Weeks. He's given up a ton of pounds and picked up the foul. Well, after this one, our doubleheader tonight on ESPN. Mike Tirico, Bill Raftery with you at the MassMutual U game in Hartford. UConn has led most all the way.
Ooh, another one. How little reach in. You mentioned Bruiser being young, and in the notes he was talking about he didn't know how to say no. Did too many things. Now,
last year.
Yeah, last year. Now he feels comfortable. I think Dooley's one of the young guys, right?
Joe Dooley at East Carolina.
Yeah, and right, who's part of the family here at UMass. And he was with the Nets with John Calipari, Bruiser, Tommy Amaker, Billy G down in Florida. I remember I had dark hair in my 20s.
What was your first year as a head coach? How old were you?
21. Small college.
29?
21.
21?
Sure.
You're kidding me.
Well, when you can't play, you coach, right? Right out of the gate. I went from the Nick camp to a college campus. They really didn't investigate me, did they?
When you look back, at your early days as a coach, are you surprised at how well you were able to do early on? Because there is maturity. I don't care what level you coach at, you're looked for leadership.
Well, either the kids weren't real smart, you couldn't see through me. I don't think you really understand what you're doing, but you do what guys taught you. And even Bruiser said a lot of what he did last year was John Calipari stuff. Now he's refined it. He believes in what John did, but there's some of his personality. And I think that's what happens over the years. If you can last.
That's right. Get the opportunity in the situation. Hardnett. Voskuhl chased down the rebound aggressively. Hamilton, a triple. Halfway down, the rebound, UMass.
And you can see what Calhoun's doing, too, with the 3-headed center. If Voskuhl gets any foul trouble, that's what they're trying to establish as the year progresses. Size and some strength up front.
UMass trying to get it down to 10. They have a good vocal group in the building tonight. Clark got a step on Hamilton. Tough goal inside.
A will basket. I like what Bruiser did, too. He put Kettner back in there. He just gave him a little message, stir him up, get him involved. Pretty look.
Freeman missed it. Got it back. Got fouled.
Take the little guy down underneath. He is something. Not one of the biggest forwards. Plays like a power guy. Now he can put it on the floor a little bit, but right here, the turning of the corner, the little dish, the giveaway. He doesn't come up strong on the first, but able to get himself up and to the free throw line. That's a nice little presentation by Freeman. See the ball, get yourself set. Unfortunately for him, he couldn't send it in.
Freeman, who has not been that same great free-flowing athletic gait that we normally see him early in the first half or right before the second half. El Amin's teammate was at the free throw line. Freeman was just trying to warm himself up a little bit more and wasn't in the layup line. I see him holding his back, kind of leaning here a little bit.
Yeah, he's had discomfort from the beginning. Remember the first play of the game?
That's right.
He called the 20, went over to the sideline. They took him out.
1 of 2. The lead 11. Hartford Civic Center downtown in the state capital of Connecticut. UMass across the border for the border battle. Second in a series of 8 games between these teams.
We're 2-3 again.
DePina pull-up pop.
Now you can make that. Now they got to come out a little bit on him. This is a rest and save the foul problems 2-3 zone by UConn.
UMass fans in the building to the right of your picture on their feet, trying to get into this 9-point game. Battle away from the ball, and Bassett called for the foul as he was bodying Voskuhl.
Boy, Weeks and Bassett really do tee it up inside.
An official timeout after Ajmal Bassett picks up his 3rd personal foul. UConn's led the whole way. UMass may be gaining a little bit of momentum here in the MassMutual U game. UConn leads UMass by 9. Well, if UMass is going to come back in this game, they need it from their senior leader, Tyrone Weeks. He gained an extra year of eligibility. Prop 68, the reason. Weeks has made a big impact on his campus and coach. Prop 68 means that you missed the first year of your college eligibility because of Prop 48. But since he was on time and got his degree in 4 years, he was given the 5th year of eligibility and chose to come back and helped on the defense on El Amin right there.
And that's one of those, a little too deep to feel, sometimes find somebody, settle. Doesn't have to be a home run every trip. And as you know, I'm very fond of Tyrone. Very pleasant guy, competes, great leadership qualities, and you can tell the feeling, the deep feeling of Bruiser for his guy.
And a great example for those who've had academic problems at schools. Not only can you get your degree, but you can come back and be a role model and a leader. He wants to be a teacher. El Amin hits a big 3.
And a role model was Voskuhl. What a roadblock for the open jumper. Now he's a cheerleader. The Rook doing it all.
Khalid El Amin has 14. UMass down 12. Clark was in some trouble, saved by Bassett.
So you got to be ready for a lot of things against UConn. Half-court trap, they did it in the first half, saved it till then.
15 on the shot clock as DePina tries to get the troops organized. Monty Mack. DePina thought about the 3, got an inside 2, took Jones to the goal.
Boy, great quickness and penetration.
We are getting to see a little bit of El Amin against DePina, 2 freshmen who will get to see each other each of the next 3 years.
How about DePina going up to the Fleet Center in Boston? Almost went to BC.
Jones turned away by Clark. El Amin calls the set play.
Now, this is the patience that UMass didn't have. Nice slip to the box.
Voskuhl missed. Bassett rebound. Another shot for UMass to get it under double digits halfway home, second half.
Nice.
Weeks. Voskuhl is fighting, really aggressive. He's been having a conversation with Kettner and Bassett all night, playing well.
Tough, quick release there.
Jones missed. Tyrone Weeks the rebound.
The Weeks made a great cut on his open jump shot. I mean, he left the defender.
You almost forget where the ball is. Some of the off-the-ball stuff is so interesting and schoolyard type fun to watch.
It's great reads by the players too, because it's a freewheeling set. There's a screen down on each side.
Clark spins Jones. Off Weeks.
Now that was a play for a pop out in the wing, but when you're good and you think you can take your guys, Charlton felt he could there. Made a nice move, didn't get particularly the shot he wanted. And there's Florida State and Arizona. Wow. 37 left.
Steve Robinson. See, well, South Carolina struggling at home in state. Georgia, which lost at home to West Virginia. Tough game with Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech has a big game involving a Big East team. They play Miami this weekend down in South Florida. What about Florida State? El-Amin took Depina to the goal.
You know, with those shoulders, you would think he'd hit somebody, but able to slither in traffic and nobody there to defend.
Khalid El-Amin has 16. Depina turned away and reset. .9 against 5'10". Little guys battling here tonight.
See, I mean, he's tired. He just grabbed the post pick, so he had an excuse.
Clark's three didn't go. Weeks couldn't pull it down. Here is Hamilton on Clark.
That'll leave you lunging a little bit, huh? He had the baseline fake and got himself right to the lane. Amin, I think, is going to go out of the game because that defensive lapse, but here's the push. Now watch this shoulder fake baseline. Leave the lunch over there and take the bus. Oh, was that pretty?
Third foul on Clark, and here is Hamilton. Most nights, he scores, I don't want to say quietly, but for a superstar, for a star, he doesn't draw attention. El-Amin draws the attention on this team. You know, Kettner draws the attention over here in Clark for UMass. Hey, you just look up, he's got 12 and 2 boards and 3 assists tonight.
You're right, he lingers around, they find him in the open floor, once in a while knocks down a jumper, but they do use the post rubs to get him on the scoreboard.
Hamilton missed the second. He's coming off a 14-point game in the win over Wilmington. Nice defensive play, and here comes Ricky Moore. Beat Depina. Sets up Hartnett. Weeks got a piece. Claver and a foul.
Not a bad release either. Well, Montecchio, early in the year, I saw one of the great jams. Send it in by Q. And this time he tries to do the same thing, but Moore harassing the passes to the post, comes up with the steal. Now look at the presence here. Claver now with the little high kiss release. Semi-hook. You get to the rim when the defense turns and challenges the jammer.
Second chance has helped UConn much as the points off turnovers. So Antrick Claver, whose high school coach was a former Big East star, Freddie Brown at Georgetown, helping his current coach Jim Calhoun to a 16-point lead, largest of the night.
And they go for it here a little bit. A little 2-2-1 again. Nice gamble by Claver.
Transition, Hartnett, Hamilton!
And Q kept it on the wing there, Montecchio. Nice dive to the goal.
UMass trying to push it up the floor instead of taking a timeout. Now the UConn half of the building. Very happy with their Huskies. Clark, the silencer.
Wow. He didn't use his trigger finger either.
Moore with an answer.
And that's not good defense at all. Bruiser upset.
Mass needs a timeout.
Never got themselves organized.
Second timeout taken by UMass.
Well, a running team can put you out of your misery or into your misery quickly. And just a wonderful read by the UConn club as they kept the ball on the wing, opened up a diving path. And Jimmy Calhoun's done it at Northeastern and at UConn. Nothing but success. And it's going to continue as this guy's able to get his shoulders between defenders, knock shots down. He's going to improve with the delivery, the arsenal of shots around the rim as he learns to read guys, pump fake, get that little Sherman Douglas little freeze shot, loop it up. That's all part of getting better as a rookie.
El-Amin has explosive scoring power. He scored 29 against Arizona State in the consolation game of the preseason NIT, and then 29 against West Virginia in a conference win. Off the timeout, Weeks misses, and UConn can go up 20 on this possession.
They have done a great job sealing off, checking out on the other end, UConn.
The 11th ranked team in the country. Their only loss was to Florida State. As December goes on, that loss starts to look real good. Official timeout inside of 7 minutes. Calhoun and the Huskies up 18. Lost to Florida State, but he comes up big tonight against the national champs. So Florida State continues its impressive run. That's the only team Connecticut has lost to this year. The Huskies on their way to 10-1. They lead by 18.
Tell you what, Lute is playing everybody. I'll give him that. Huh? Tough shot here.
Ricky Moore missed. Voskuhl kept it alive. Still battling for it, and it's off of Jake. UMass ball.
And Moore wisely, too, with the shot clock running down. Didn't come up with the easiest of deliveries. So I've been impressed with their half-court man-to-man UConn. Pressure to pass, play the post guy.
Monty Mack.
Good help by Voskuhl.
Ajmal Bassett gets the rebound and the putback.
Dave Lato, the associate head coach. John Robick's an associate head coach, too. Dave, I'm sure, will take credit for this defense. Although Carl Hobbs has to get a little input, too. Tom Moore.
The UConn staff. Hamilton adding to the point total. Off to another solid start this season. Hamilton has 16 points. He scored over 500 as a freshman last year. Weeks cutting to the goal. Blocked by Kleber, but the foul on the floor by Hardnett.
What a nice job rotating. Just a little bit late. Unfortunately, the double and then the dive. You see Kleber come into your screen here just a little bit late. Nice job. Hamilton on the floor. Pretty good understanding how to run that rotation. A lot of NBA teams do that very well. Get two guys on the ball in the box. Everybody else zones up. Takes a while for them to learn, much less college guys.
Tyrone Weeks. There are not many players in the country who've hit their first 23 free throws of the year. I bet nobody has this year. And Tyrone Weeks at 6'7". You don't see many four-men shoot free throws this well.
With that kind of touch. The trouble is he hasn't been getting to the foul line enough, I think, tonight for Bruiser.
Well, it had been some 5 games since he went to the free throw line before tonight. You see? Empty out the saddlebag before you make a miss, Mike.
You are amazing. You must say guys are going to make putts, too, do you?
Only about you. Only about you when it's for a nickel or a dime. UConn by 17, coming inside of 5 minutes. Hamilton, quick first step and a foul.
Well, he has a great offensive feel. And Voskuhl is the one that set it up with a nice pick. He's run some good bumps for his guys. Take Jake for a shake, I think, after all the freebies here. Now watch this maneuver here, Michael. Protects the ball, wards off, the kiss at the end. That'll get him to sleep tight. Pretty release.
On Bassett, his 4th foul.
Another McDonald's All-American, too, alongside him in the backcourt. Khalid El Amin. We've got some players out here in this program.
El Amin and Hamilton have combined now for 35 of the UConn 64. Voskuhl takes a breather as his team now leads by 20, largest bulge of the night.
Little hedge and backed by Freeman. And they are well schooled on this defensive end.
Clark, corner triple missed. Bassett snatches the rebound and got bumped.
You know what had an assist on that one? DePina. What a great play by the little guy, able to get up and bang it to the bigger Ajmal Bassett.
Well, UMass's last game was out in Las Vegas. They played Colorado in neutral court.
You hear Bruiser talking about UNLV and Billy Bano. He said that program is serious. He said, now that is a heavyweight opportunity.
All right, we got one shot.
Says old pal, former assistant to John Calipari, Billy Bano. I guess they get Clark back in early January. Keon, terrific shot blocker,
UNLV.
influencer.
Carl Ravitch is back in the studio. Had the Rhode Island UNLV game last weekend on the Deuce, and Carl was telling me that the Vegas folks feel real encouraged about the guys that they keep getting back slowly here, and as they go through their wax season, they may have a good January and February.
DePina gets a little bit of a blow there. Nice little heads-up play to get the free throw line.
Little press broken nicely. Moore.
Got a fake, Dodgeball. Don't just commit to the passer. Stay at home, fake, recover.
Do I see too much of these guys, or is this UConn team really, really well schooled in the fundamental things?
I think they're very sound, and I also think they're having one of their better games emotionally, too. I think they're very into this game, and I think UMass ever settled down.
Babel on Hamilton. Rebound by Freeman. And it has been mostly one and out for UMass tonight. El Amin lost the footing. Bailout was Claiborne.
I had a chance to talk to George Blaney, the former Seton Hall coach, Holy Cross coach, and he told me he thought UConn was sharper, better at this stage, and that's one of the reasons right there, huh? That was too easy. You can see the breakdown. But yes, they are fundamentally tough. Defensively, they take you out of what you want to run.
Hamilton has 21. Clark is the leading scorer for UMass. He now has 15. But it has not been enough tonight. 20-point lead inside of 4 minutes for Connecticut. They play Hartford and Fairfield, two in-state teams here in the Civic Center after Christmas. So one would guess the Huskies would be 12-1 heading into the bulk of their Big East schedule when they play at Notre Dame on January 3rd.
And Bruzo got them back playing with the intensity they did against KU. I mean, this is too good a team.
Shot clock running down. Left-handed hoist by Claiborne. And Weeks the rebound. Monty Mack has struggled to get on track tonight. Still can't get it to go. He is 2 of 9 shooting. Out of bounds, so an official timeout. Jim Calhoun's star, Richard Hamilton, has done the job tonight. He has 21 against the good defender Mike Babel and the rest of the Minutemen. MassMutual U game, UConn and UMass, and is UConn leading by 20 in this one. Well, Richard Hamilton and Khalid El Amin are the top 2 scorers for the Huskies in the regular season to this point. And they have stayed near and actually exceeded their averages tonight. Hamilton with 21. El Amin right on his number at 16. Right on their average of field goal attempts as well. Clark's long 3 hit the side of the glass, but he's still hustling, even though their team's down 20 in the last 3 minutes.
He will do that. Great competitor. Little nickel dimer here by Mack, but St. Raymond's, Harry the Caesars, one of his guys.
Well, we mentioned this is the second game in this series, a series that was put together after a loud cry around the country, or around this area, I should say, by those two men. Lou Perkins on the left, the athletic director at UConn, and Bob Markham, the AD at UMass.
That's all they worry about. Look at Lou. He's thinking, well, maybe he's got the hot dogs, I got the parking. You know, the coaches are dying on the sideline. They're counting the loot.
You are a troublemaker. Come on.
Well, that's their job. They got to make sure.
What they're going to do in this series, first 2 years played here in the Civic Center downtown in Hartford. They'll go to campus sites, Amherst, then Storrs, and back here every 3rd year in the rotation of the rest of this series. And what will be interesting in those 10,000-seat on-campus buildings, it will still be half the house for each side, which should make it for an exciting atmosphere.
That should make it for a lot of unhappy people on both campuses, right?
Babel fires a rare 3 that's off the mark. It's just the 4th he's attempted this year. He's missed them all. There's no hiding the fact that the Civic Center is not sold out tonight. One of the criticisms in the area has been the price of the tickets being so high. You could have charged $100 for every seat in the building when all the protagonists were here. Canby and Ray Allen and Calipari and Calhoun, and both teams are in the top 10. But the deal was made right after that, and really the afterglow didn't last long enough to get people to pay $75 a seat in the lower bowl, as a 5-second count was called there. Still a good crowd on hand tonight, and I think this series is the right thing to do in this area.
It's great for college basketball.
No reason they shouldn't.
Only lead announcers could sit downstairs here.
You're tough.
Marquee types like yourself, as a little knockdown by Tyrone. That's something he's really worked on, too.
That's just his first field goal tonight, and that's surprising. Weeks has 7. Step aside for a moment inside of 2 minutes. It's a UMass timeout. UConn leads by 17. By 17 as the basketball teams get ready for, of course, a week later, Washington State and Michigan will play in the Rose Bowl, also to be seen on ABC.
Tough team to press. How when you got Hamilton that handles so well. Moore and this tough point performer as Khalid El-Amin gets to the rim.
Well, Jim Calhoun's team, as we tell you that Illinois and Missouri are coming up next, another border battle in St. Louis. That's following us here on ESPN. This UConn team, Bill, is really young. No senior starters, really very, very small senior contribution. And this is going to be a good team for the next couple of years if all the pieces stay in place and healthy, et cetera, et cetera.
They really haven't stepped back when you think of it. And Hamilton's continued improvement as an offensive player benefits everybody else, I think, a great deal. And you mentioned he's silent, he's quiet, he just takes shots. I think all of that helps. And the big guys know their responsibilities. Klaber intercepted one on that 2-2-1 press. Vasco will stay in position, make sure you don't score. So it's a press that looks to make you force you into some mistakes, and yet it's a patient press. They'll get back and get settled in their man-to-man.
Final 100 seconds here. If you look at UConn in their end of the Big East, and they're in the Big East 6 in that hard to follow, ill-advised 13-team setup of 7 in one, 6 in the other. West Virginia is the toughest team in their part of the conference. Clark broke that up. Babel 2-on-1 with Bassett, fouled from behind by Freeman.
And Bassett was looking for a little lob to the rim. He wanted to finish with a little impact.
Mentioned Connecticut. West Virginia's in their half over in the Big East 6. UConn beat West Virginia once already, and we'll see the rematch of those two teams down in Morgantown.
West Virginia is solid. Owen's a good player. How about Gale? He's ranking up the wins too.
Gale Catlett broke the 500 win mark last week. Jim Calhoun's a couple of wins shy of that.
I didn't break the 500 game number.
And you started at 21, although those didn't count in the number. This UMass team that has continued to live the John Calipari mantra of play anyone, anywhere, anytime. Babel missed them both. They play Cincinnati in Cleveland on Saturday. It'll be their 4th consecutive neutral court game.
Wow. So they have been on the road. And Jeff Arnold, Tony Barbee, Mike Connors, and they have competed and done well, and yet this is not one of their typical games.
No.
This has got to be a very tough and disappointing game for Bruiser's guys.
Final minute. Ricky Moore, the drive. Freeman got the rebound and brings it back out. 20-second timeout for UConn as both benches will empty. Well, Ricky Moore went through another great game from a turnover standpoint. In the last 5 games, Bill, 23 assists, 1 turnover.
Boy, is that valuable in the basketball. I mean, and he touches a lot more than most off guards. They're willing to let him run the show when the rook takes a little blows. Khalid El-Amin, even when he's on the floor, Ricky will handle it.
Here is what Connecticut has ahead. And the January 6th game could prove interesting. Miami is currently undefeated. We got a nice crowd for their Georgetown game down in South Florida. Bench is emptied. E.J. Harrison is on, along with Jeff Seibart, 53. Albert Mooring, 23. Suleiman Wan is back in, and Chris Crowley. 3 walk-ons for the Huskies in the final half minute. And here is Mooring.
Well, they said he could fill it up, huh?
Mooring is an incredible story. He played a game without practicing. He became eligible and couldn't practice with the team until finals ended, and that was on Friday. So Saturday they played, and he didn't practice. He played 3 minutes. Look at Juan inside with a couple of blocks.
And a foul. Well, they got 2 blocks and a foul. And that gives them number 4, if I'm not mistaken. Or number 3.
That's 4.
4?
That is 4.
Okay. Well, the center of influence as he does a little hem job. Interesting. I think that position, 3 people able to rotate and also play a little bit bigger. Something I think they lacked early in the year.
Weeks had 10 tonight, but not the 10 points you'd want from him. The walk-on Jeff Seibart misfires, and the foul here in the final 8.6. Well, back to Mooring, who's number 23 for UConn. This is a guy who has a lot of ability, and you may see more of him, maybe not this year, but next year. Averaged 35 a game in high school, scored 2,500 points. As nebulous as it may be, one recruiting service had him as a top 50 player. So you know how tough Calhoun's practices are. He works the guys. This guy didn't even practice. All he could do was watch. And he comes in and plays 3 minutes his first day wearing a Husky uniform.
Isn't that incredible? Just to pick up some of the schemes that they do defensively.
They said they showed him a few plays offensively, and he came in the 3 minutes of a 38-point blowout. And you see his name is Mooring. They made a mistake, and his jersey said Morning for his first game. What do you expect?
Isn't that amazing?
The guy hasn't been to practice. You don't expect the equipment manager to know him.
Well, somebody will pay for that, particularly from his family.
And here is Albert misfiring at the buzzer. The MassMutual U game goes to UConn over UMass, 72-55. Merry Christmas to and from Bill Raftery and our entire ESPN crew. Mike Tirico. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Now back to the studio and Carl Ravitch.
Hi, Michael. Very good job. Khalid El-Amin and the rest dominated. Huskies up 7 as Kevin Freeman gets the pass from Rip Hamilton. Here's the freshman guard. El-Amin hangs 34-23 at the half for Jim Calhoun's team. More El-Amin. How about driving the lane, hitting the leaner at 18? UConn is pulling away and looking to extend their lead. Andrea Klaber intercepts. Richard Hamilton shows up and goes to the hole. He's finished with 21. UConn a winner. They have won 15 of the last 16 meetings. 72-55 the final score in this one.
For the Civic Center for the damage. The Minutemen shaking it, but it doesn't impress the UMass cheerleader, perhaps reminding Jerry of his college days. Here we go at the highlights. Richard Hamilton gets UConn off to a 7-0 start with the 3 ball. Rip can beat you outside or inside. Hamilton again. Jake Foskel right here absolutely needs to jam this. He goes with the finger roll, and guess what? Larry Kettner swats it away. Jim Calhoun later called for a technical. No need for concern, Coach. Look at Khalid El-Amin dive to the floor. Richard Hamilton over to Kevin Freeman. 2 and the foul. Then the play of the night. Check out the right-handed prayer from El-Amin. Are you kidding me? UConn crushes UMass. Your final 72-50.